25. There will be more cell phones than human beings. Silicon India reported last year that the number of active cell phones would reach 7.3 billion by 2014, and thus there will be more cell phones than humans. The estimation came close, but as far as we know at the time of writing this list, cell phone totals are estimated to be about 7.9 billion. However, it's a safe bet that by the end of 2015, the prediction will be 100%. 24. People will be fluent in every language. Well, the title of this one might be a little misleading, but right now, DARPA and Google are racing to perfect instant translation. Sooner than most of us might think, your cell phone will allow you to understand and speak Chinese and Greek without even knowing the language. 23. Privacy will be harder to maintain. Already, many women in the US are hiring private detectives to check up on their boyfriends, and getting the information is becoming easier, thanks to databanks packed with information about people's personal finances, purchases, employment, medical problems, and more. In the near future, and with the evolution of social media, it will be practically impossible to have secrets. 22. Our clothes will clean themselves. Engineers in China have developed a titanium dioxide coating that helps cotton shed stains and eliminate odor-producing bacteria. So 10 years from now, when you want to clean your favorite t-shirt after a wild night of partying, all you need to do is step into the sun. 21. There will be no more national debts. Simply put, there will come a point when across the globe, the younger generations will no longer accept living under tyranny and will refuse to pay the debt that the older generations created. Countries like Greece, Spain, and Italy were the first to shed the sins of their fathers, and the way things look at the moment, this won't have a happy ending for the banks. 20. Airplanes of the future will be windowless. A British aerospace firm recently released images of its windowless plane concept, in which display screens showed the environment outside the plane as well as films and video conferencing. As you can see, the flying experience will be an even more amazing one for those who love flying, and a true nightmare for those who swallow a few Xanax before they board a plane. 19. The USA won't lead the world anymore. If we compare the current geopolitical scene with that of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, when America was the sole superpower, especially after the collapse of the USSR, we will easily see that countries like China, Russia, Germany, and Japan are going head-to-head with the US in major fields such as science, technology, politics, and military power. 18. China most likely will. According to American economists and analysts, by the early 2050s, China will have a population 3.5 times bigger than that of the United States. The Chinese economy will be nearly 2.5 times larger than the American, and Chinese per capita production and consumption will be more than 70% of their US equivalents. To make a long story short, China will be the undisputed economic and cultural driving force of the world, and the US might not even be second, but third, behind Russia. 17. Energy will cost way more than it does now. According to many experts, the energy of the future will be 30% more expensive than current fossil-based energy. And the worst part is that we will use more energy to maintain our high-tech society. So we will need a lot more energy, equivalent to tons of oil per person per year after the 2040s. 16. Cybersex will most likely become a global trend. Our current sexual freedom will be nothing compared to the one our descendants will experience 30 to 40 years from now. Cybersex, for example, will be one of the most profitable forms of our future sexual freedom, and it's very possible that the younger generation won't compete over who has the best smartphone, but instead the best cybersex device. 15. Russia will become a global food superpower. When experts talk about the coming food security crisis, the date they fixate upon is 2030. By then, our population total will be nudging 9 billion, and we will need to be producing 50% more food than we are now. As climate change lays waste to the productive fields of Southern Europe, North Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and most parts of the US, more water-efficient strains of corn, wheat, and barley will be pressed into service. Likewise, to the north, Russia will become a global food superpower as the same climate change opens up the once frozen and massive Siberian prairie to food production. 14. The world's population will experience a dramatic growth. The current world population of 7.2 billion is projected to increase by 1 billion over the next 12 years and reach 9.6 billion by 2050. This is according to a United Nations report launched in 2013, which points out that growth will be mainly in developing countries, with more than half of it in Africa. Nigeria will become the third most populous country behind India and China. 13. Mass unemployment will be a worldwide problem. Today, many developed countries are finding that a growing number of workers remain unemployed for years and don't know what to do about it. The constant technological evolution of the transformation of the once analog world to a digital one means that many jobs, once done by humans, are now done by intelligent machines, and the problem is expected to become insurmountable as the years go by. 12. Soldiers will use exoskeletons to enhance battlefield performance. If you're a fan of Iron Man, then you will get really excited to know that by 2040, there will be a bunch of soldiers, mainly from the US and Russia, who will look just like your favorite superhero. We don't know if this is exactly good news, since we really hate anything related to war, but modern technology seems to favor and back up this project with a passion. 11. Space travel will become as affordable as an around-the-world plane ticket. Within 30 years from now, NASA and the European Space Agency promise to make space travel a reality for millions around the world, since it will cost as much as an around-the-world plane ticket costs today. Sorry to ruin it for you folks, but have you checked out how much an around-the-world plane ticket really costs? It isn't cheap. 10. Contact lenses will offer us robocar vision. According to popular mechanics, when miniaturization reaches its full potential, achieving superhuman eyesight will be as simple as placing a soft lens on our eyes. Early prototypes feature wireless LEDs, but circuits and antennas can also be grafted onto flexible polymer, enabling zooming, night vision, and visible data fields. 9. A global culture will be forced on all people. According to many thinkers and sociologists, there's a great danger that our continual anti-racism might transform into a racist, fascist social movement itself. A respectable amount of people who are self-defined as anti-racists are trying more and more to force their views on others that the solution to prejudice, violence, and racism is one global culture, religion, race, and so on. 8. We will defeat the most fatal diseases of the 20th century. Medical and scientific circles guarantee us that in 20 or 30 years, people will look back and say, wow, people really died from cancer and AIDS back then? I know it might sound unbelievable to our generation, but wasn't that the case with once fatal diseases such as the plague, syphilis, rabies, and cholera? 7. The economy in most parts of the world will be cash-free. Cash has been the king of trade and economy for many years, but all this is about to change dramatically in the next couple of decades. Why? Mainly for security reasons, since many stores, governments, and banks have been tired of being robbed by armed thieves and tax dodgers ripping them off repeatedly. 6. The climate problem will finally start hurting us. We have been hearing for years now how Mother Nature will exact revenge for all the evil we have caused to the environment since the Industrial Revolution. But in all honesty, we haven't seen any major effect yet. However, all this will change drastically in the near future, since the average global temperature will go from plus 0.8 degrees Celsius in 2012, relative to pre-industrial times, to plus 2.0 degrees Celsius in 2052, and a maximum of plus 2.8 degrees Celsius in 2080. Trust us when we say that won't be a pleasant shift at all. 5. Organ donation will be a thing of the past. With the amazing benefits of cloning and the wide horizons it opens for the future, most scientists agree that the mass creation of human organs such as hearts, livers, and lungs is just a matter of time. This pretty much means that future generations will look back at the people who donate their organs today and think of them as heroes. Yep, the future Bravehearts and King Leonidases will be today's organ donors. 4. However, we will feel less healthy than today. Life expectancy is rising about 3 months each year, but in the future, humans will feel more fragile than in the past and less healthy, partly because of their lifestyle. Most jobs 30 years from now will require that we use our minds more than our bodies, meaning less physical movement. Conditions such as obesity and depression will literally become the future's plagues. 3. Chips will be implanted in our bodies. Alright, this might sound like a scenario straight out of a sci-fi film, but it's believed that by 2080, and mostly in high-tech countries, a chip will be implanted in parts of our bodies that will serve as a combination of credit card, passport, driver's license, personal diary, and so on. Thus, people will not have to worry about losing their credit cards while traveling, and we will all be part robot. Well, kind of. 2. People will live much longer than they do now. Biologists assure us that the first person who will live over 150 years, and it will be historically recorded and not just a myth, was born in 2014. How can they be so sure? They claim that there will be revolutionary inventions and advancements related to human cells within the next 15 to 20 years. And 1. The world might not be a better place after all. Regardless of all the medical, scientific, technological, and biological advancements that will take place in the next few decades, no one can guarantee us that the world will be less violent, less racist, less sexist, and thus a more humane or better place to live. Morals, ethics, and mercy have nothing to do with social development.
Liking our lists? Be sure to subscribe by pressing the button at the top corner of your screen. And if you're still itching for more awesome lists, click on these nifty thumbnails created by yours truly, and be sure to show us some love by liking, sharing, and commenting.